This is a Hot Pie Original.
Well, taxpayers, we're here again. You know, I thought this topic, this argument, this bogus claim, I thought this died off with Mildred calling into an AM talk show. I thought this died with talk radio, but it's back. It's back for more. It's back again and again and again. It is the race to the bottom. That's where we are. The fascist floor, I would suggest, but Florida and Texas, because just so you understand and appreciate the political context of everything going on, this race to the fascist floor between the governor of Florida and between the governor of Texas is a battle because they both want what D. Trump had. They both have to be the next D. Trump, or at least act like it. That's the race to the fascist floor. That's why we're having the race to the fascist floor. So why is the governor of Florida getting high fives today? He thinks he scored a touchdown. He's spiking the ball. He's spiking the ball in the D. Trump end zone, if you want to think in those terms. And maybe we should just try the best that we can to use football analogies throughout. So let's think of a stadium that looks like this. You're at the fascist floor, correct? Now you've got end zones. It's like the D. Trump end zone. You know, wherever you watch a game, they have the two teams playing. You know, the Cowboys have the star in one end zone. So in this end zone, it's a picture of D. Trump and his kids. Each end zone is the D. Trump end zone. So the governor of Florida is spiking the ball in the D. Trump end zone. So Texas, you're on the clock. Well, we kind of delivered. We gave permitless gun carry. Take that, Florida. Spike the ball, right? So let's all race to the fascist floor if we can. What has the Florida governor so giddy, you ask? Why, Jeff, is he spiking the ball in the D. Trump end zone? Why is he getting high fives today? The reason why he's getting high fives is because he thinks he scored points in the us versus them crusade. In fact, the truth is he probably did score points in the us versus them crusade. He's in the dumb end zone. He's in that end zone of D. Trump, a big face of D. Trump in the end zone, and he's spiking the ball and standing there waiting for his teammates to jump on him because he's just had a spectacular run. That's where he is. So he's pretty happy about this. He got to sign the law. He got to sign into law a bill that will stop, get ready for it, big tech censorship again. Ooh, got them, right? Now, we can laugh this off, and I think people are probably numb to this, and I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think getting numb right now, especially stuff like this, I don't think this is a good thing. So don't go numb. I realize that in these days and times, it is mind-numbing how stupid things are, but you can't let yourself go numb on this one because this is pretty serious stuff, and he just made it law. So watch out. And can you laugh it off? Maybe a little, but I'd be careful about that too. So I think you have to take this one pretty seriously, and you have to be concerned if you're a thinking human being. If you're in that end zone of D. Trump, you're hopeless. Just stay there. But for everyone else who's thinking and running business and gets up and makes a living every day and believes in free enterprise and believes in democracy and all that good stuff, I think you better pay close attention because we are at that fascist floor. This is the fascist floor. So he signs into law big tech censorship bill. Fact check. Let's do this because I think we have to take this seriously, and I think we have to do the equivalent of a Twitter fact check because this is a fake issue. It's a fake issue that he turned into law. Think in these terms, okay? This should help crystallize how idiotic this is. You know what's a good business? Facebook. Okay. I didn't say you love to be on Facebook. You do, but it's a good business. It's a brilliant business model. It is the most successful media company we've ever known. It's a great business model. You know what doesn't appear to be a good business? 4chan. What's 4chan, Jeff? My opinion, my knowledge of 4chan, it is a place for knuckleheads with Confederate flags. That's not a very good business model. The Facebook business model is a really, really good business model. You know how I know that? Check their last quarter. Check that stock. Check the fact that it's producing, I don't know how many millionaires. That's a good business. So ask yourself in these terms, Facebook and Twitter are good businesses. So what we should do, according to the fascist floor, the governor of Florida and probably the governor of Texas, who wants to do the same thing, and 38 other states of knuckleheads, because this issue plays well, they want to make Facebook and Twitter a bunch of Confederate flag wavers dropping F-bombs, scaring off the soccer moms. Because if the government steps in and forces those businesses to allow that knucklehead to have access to that site, even though they legally don't have access, it's not their business. What they're going to do, what the governor of Florida really wants to do in this pandering effort, what he really wants to do is to blow up the business model of Facebook and turn it into 4chan of Confederate flag wavers, because that's what would happen. If you took calls every day on an AM talk radio show, you know what you would hear? A bunch of Confederate flag wavers who will kill your business. Is that a good business model? And that decision on the business model, to take this very seriously for a second, that decision on that business model, 4chan can run a model, AM Talk Radio can run a model, it can live in a cesspool of Confederate flag wavers, and if that's the business you'd like to run, then go run that business and sell ED ads. Do it. That's fine. If you're Facebook and you have to answer to shareholders and you would very much like, not like the Confederate flag waver dropping F-bombs to run off your audience because you're selling ads to Toyota, then you should be able to run that business too without the interference of the fascists. That's to take this pretty seriously, and you should. Should Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Jeff Ward, Joe Blow, whatever, should they have the right? Should we have the right to have a good business model, or should the government be able to blow the model up? There. Ask the governor of Florida, the governor of Texas that. You wouldn't get a chance to ask them because they're going to go to some ass-kissing show, and they're not going to ask them that. But that's what should be asked today. Does that business have a right for you not to blow up their model? That's it. That's the issue. This is dangerous stuff. So here's what has happened. I don't even know if I need my $6 glasses. This is beyond irritating. This should go beyond irritating and reach the level of anger. You should be mad about this because somebody's giving a high five in the face of business, leaving business alone. You don't have a right to Facebook. You have a right to the Capitol steps. You don't have a right to Facebook or Twitter or 4chan or Jeff Ward Show or any number of things. It's not your right. This is a made-up, fake issue to spike the ball in the fascist D-Trump end zone. This is government interference, attempted government interference at the highest level, to take it seriously. Here we go, reporting from Axios. Florida enacted a first-of-its-kind law on Monday that allows users of big social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter to fight back against being, quote, this is his comment, unfairly banned. The law, SB 7072, just to prove that Texas will not be lost in the battle for the fascist floor, we have a similar bill in this state. Okay? And so do many other states. It's fake. It's a fake issue. Again, the law, SB 7072, comes as an act of retaliation against the spate of social media bans on various right-wing individuals, including Donald Trump, following the Capitol riot on January 6th. The bill allegedly sets out to prevent big tech from unduly deplatforming politicians in the state of Florida. Oh, but Jeff, that sounds so righteous. That sounds so healthy. That sounds so cool. Does the government have a right to blow up your business model? Keep asking yourself that. His answer by law is yes, because Facebook, Twitter, any number of businesses believe the minute you throw open the door, and trust me, I know how this works in the media business. You throw open that door, the person that's going to come running in is the person that has nothing to do during the day, and they're a nut job, and they will scare off your audience. Does the government have a right to blow up these companies' business models? They have no right anymore to be over the top. They have a right. You have more of a right to be on American Idol than you do to do this. Is American Idol still with us? Is that so still? Is Kelly Clarkson still winning on American Idol? You get my point. For the $7 glasses. So one of the bill's provisions allows the Florida Elections Commission to apply fines to companies that permanently ban politicians running for state office positions. It also grants users the right to sue companies they feel instituted the bans unfairly. So you feel that way. We live in a time of political feelings. Even if your feelings are stupid, and even if they're counterproductive, and even if they're anti-democratic, all that matters is your feelings if you're angry and white. I don't care what you feel. You don't have a right to this business. No matter what you feel. Well, that's not the way the government now sees it. So, you know what I suggest? Why don't you go ahead and sue? Okay? So, John Q. MAGA hat. You and all of your friends start suing them. Go ahead. I dare you, by the way. I dare you. Get ready, John Q. MAGA hat. Their lawyers are better than yours. And you know what I also suggest? I suggest loser pays. Let's try that one first. So what he wants to do, first of all, he wants to get elected, right? To get elected, you have to race to the bottom of the fascist floor. That's how you have to get elected. But if now that he's thrown the door open legally, although it will be thrown out, given that he's thrown the door open for this by law, John Q. MAGA hat is going to start posting F-bombs, blah, 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 and get banned. John Q. MAGA hat then is going to run and find some loser ambulance-chasing lawyer, and they're going to sue. They're going to get smoked. It's going to get tossed out. It is completely unconstitutional. But that's what's going to happen next, and that's going to make the governor of Florida very happy. Because in the governor of Florida, as all these cases get kicked out, I suggest loser pays, and we'll see how long this lasts. But as these cases get kicked out, then, of course, the governor of Florida gets to stand up and do another spike in the end zone and say, see what they're doing? They're out to get my people. That's how this is going to play out. He says, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he's standing in that end zone. He's standing in that Trump end zone right there on D. Trump's forehead. He's like Terrell Owens back in the day. He's got his arms up in the air waiting for his teammates to jump on top of him because he scored a touchdown. Hey, I'm here with John McClellan, the creator and founder of ATX Hot Sauce. And when I say that you started this, maybe not screwing around in your kitchen, but maybe not that far removed from screwing around in your kitchen. So talk about the creation, the process, the dream that came out of the pandemic.
It's from Austin. From Texas. There's not a lot of hot sauces out there that are actually from here. There's a few great ones too. But, Frank's and Tabasco and some of these other ones, I want something that's Texan like me. It's different. And I think that's what Texas is a little bit about. That's what Austin's about. So that flavor first without the vinegar, and then going into the heat after that, but not a blow your head off heat. If you notice, a lot of the hot sauces out there that you see are like Da Bomb or Death's Door, right? Yeah. And they're just supposed to blow your head off when you do it, when you taste it. Well, that's not the kind of hot sauce that I'm making. I'm making a hot sauce for the everyday person, for the condiment for every single day. And that's why the flavor first, heat second is so important, that you get those flavors, the nuances, whatever food that you're making.
All right, order a box now. It's atxhotsauce.com, atxhotsauce.com. We're the first state to hold these big tech companies to this standard of transparency and accountability. He goes on to say their power up to this point has effectively been unchecked. This will lead to more speech, not less speech. No, actually, knucklehead. It If it were legal, it would lead to crazy speech. That's what you really want. You want Facebook to be 4chan. You want Facebook to be Parler. You want Facebook to be a Confederate flag. Facebook wants to sell diapers to moms. You've just blown up their business model. You'll pay a price, man. It'll get kicked out of court in a heartbeat, and you know it. So, this is how you throw the door open for crazy people. The aforementioned fines will range from $25,000 per day for non-statewide candidates and $250,000 a day for statewide candidates. The bill also mandates that companies provide clear reasoning for their bans and makes it illegal to ban political candidates for over 14 days. In other words, you get to act like a jackass by law for 14 days. In other words, by law, according to the fascists, you get to say stupid, incorrect, dangerous things for 14 straight days. That's the logic behind this. Do you think that makes us better? But Jeff, they should have a right. No one is taking away your right to speech. Not true. Not happening. Not happening. That company, fascist, is not yours. It's not yours. It's theirs. It's the shareholders. They can let you on or not let you on. That should be their right. So, in other words, they're going to get fined every day you stop the guy who's running off your audience, right? The guy who's gone full on knucklehead, running off your audience, scaring off your audience. But by law, if this were to follow through, you'd have to do it. Nice. Well done. By the way, not that any of this matters. The data is irrelevant. This is a non-issue. The argument is not true. And not that that matters, but it's not true. For example, of course, all these studies are biased, and of course, everyone's lying, and everyone's making up stuff, and everyone's out to get the knucklehead. You're damn right we're out to get the knucklehead. He's going to run everybody off. He's scary. He's scary. If you want an audience, you know who you don't want? The guy waving a Confederate flag, threatening to kill people. That's who you don't want. It's bad for business. New York University study found that claims of anti-conservative bias in themselves amount to a form of disinformation. Quote, no trustworthy large-scale study has determined that conservative content, and by the way, the term conservative is ridiculous. I told you what the content is. It's fascist content. It is. Stop switching out words like conservative and Republican. Determined that conservative content is being removed for ideological reasons or that searches are being manipulated to favor liberal interests. So, the governor says this session we took action to ensure that we, the people, real Floridians across the Sunshine State, are guaranteed protection against the Silicon Valley elites. Shut up. Oh my gosh. Shut up, doofus. You big government, dangerous, fascist doofus. You know what somebody needs to do? Go and flip the rules on anybody else running a business in the Sunshine State. Go ahead and dictate who their customers can be. Go ahead, do it. Blow up the business model because you don't believe in business. You don't believe in free enterprise. You don't believe in media companies being able to target whoever they want. So here we go. 38 states. And this is why I think this is now important. I mean, I don't know how many times this issue has been coming up for some time. This issue started in the stupid, myopic, incestuous world of breathing your own exhaust fumes in talk radio. That's where this started. It's fake. You don't have a right to post. You don't have a right to call the show. You don't have a right to Pinterest. That's just not exactly what the founding fathers thought about. You have a right to the Capitol steps. Otherwise, shut your face. But 38 states have proposed more than 100 bills designed to address, quote, big tech's content moderation policies. If you ran a business, I know this is a foreign term. If you ran a private business, should you decide who the target audience is? Okay. If you say yes, you get up and go to work for a living. If you say no, just get back on your couch. Stay on your couch. Stay in your mom's basement for a while because you're hopeless. You're really hopeless. So that's where we are. And I do think you should take this seriously. It should be pointed out. It is pointed out many times by many legal scholars, of which the governor of Florida knows better. The governor of Texas knows better. Any thinking human being that has ever bothered to read anything about the First Amendment knows better, but they don't care. They don't care. They're trying to get to the D-Trump end zone. So they don't care. And to get there, they'll suspend all logic. They'll use any means necessary to be as dumb as humanly possible. The First Amendment prohibits the government from compelling or controlling speech on private website. This will be thrown out of any legitimate court in a heartbeat, but that doesn't matter because it's all about spiking the ball. So here's a comment from the CEO of the Chamber of Progress. This is a technology trade group, says, at a time when many people want to see healthier online communities free of hate and conspiracy theories, the bill ties platforms' hands in the fight against toxic content. It would turn Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube into sites like 4chan and Gab. Fortunately, the bill is so clearly unconstitutional that its authors' efforts to turn the internet into a cesspool of lies and hate should be short-lived. Well, you hope, except it's an attempt. I don't know what's worse. And ask yourself this. This shouldn't be a very good feeling today, but people dumb enough to believe this stuff, or the politician that knows better but still sells this as a thing, a real thing, a legal thing. It's not. Even if it weren't unconstitutional, it is. It's a terrible view of private business. Okay? It's just an awful statement about your views of private business. So we got to kill this off. I don't know how, once and for all, for thinking human beings. If you have fascist friends or a drunk uncle with a MAGA hat, we got to arm ourselves with a few IQ points. You have a couple of options here. Okay, I mean, this is really what it gets down to, and you have to ask yourself, and do this over a cocktail, a glass of wine. I'm sure everybody knows somebody who is going to hear this or read this and say, well, what's so awful about that? Yeah. They blocked me one time. It's BS, man. Okay, so here's the way we're going to have to tackle this, and here's the way you're going to have to frame the discussion, in my opinion. For even let's just assume people that are not in the D-Trump end zone acting like buffoons. Let's assume somebody kind of out in the field, between the goal lines. That's a thinking human being, let's say. And they're hearing this going, yeah, I mean, it's not cool that they banned. It's not cool that they banned nut job so-and-so. They should have a right to that place. So here's what you have to do. You have to ask yourself, do you want the government to turn social media companies into public utilities? The governor of Florida, he didn't mean necessarily to go there, but that's pretty much what he's saying. He's saying that we, the government, should turn them into public utilities. I've read for a long time, there's an argument, in fact, that they should be turned into public utilities. In other words, the government would run them. The government would price them. Utilities like the ones we've had in Texas that work so well, like those. We should have the government get involved with that. So do you want the government to turn these into public utilities? That's the first question. That's the first issue on the table if you're trying to have a discussion about this. Now, if that's your position, and that is the position of the fascist floor, and you think these should be public utilities, good luck in that fight, because I like Facebook's lawyers better than yours. I think their team is going to beat your team every time. But if that's really, and you want to bring this up to somebody, what should happen if there was a free flow of communication, if that governor, if Greg Abbott were to pretend to be on this show or some show hosted by somebody not named Hannity, the first question should be, do you believe the government should turn these into public utilities run and processed by the government? Now, neither one of these men are ever going to do a show or take questions of anyone who would ever ask that. So it's going to be a moot point. But that's point number one. The shareholders of Facebook, the shareholders of all of these companies are going to say, yeah, nice try. No, we like our share price. We like our revenues. We like our income. We like our stock. So thanks, but no thanks. Get out of our face. We're not going to be a public utility. So they're going to say no. And their shareholders would like to say no. And the economy would like these social media companies to say no. So there's point number one. It's not yours. Okay? It's not yours. If you want to buy stock, it becomes more of yours. But if you want to turn them into public utility, then tell Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis and any other person standing in the Trump end zone, you go ahead and try that right now. It's their platform. It's theirs. Snapchat is one. Parler is one. Joe Blow MAGA hat is one. It's yours. Get over it. You can accept the reality that the First Amendment, that you have no standing. There is no argument and no say over what's on these platforms. You go about your life accepting that pesky little First Amendment thing stops wannabe dictators, and it's just not going to be yours. So you don't get to own the posts. I know you want to. I know you want to write them your own way, but that silly little First Amendment is going to stop you every time. It's not yours. So there are your options. You either have the government turn them into public utilities, or you turn around and say, no, the First Amendment got in our way, so I'm just going to complain over a glass of wine every night, but I have no legal standing whatsoever. Now, that's not going to stop, because this is day one of this thing being a tidal wave of bills being passed from other people with an R next to their name that want to get in the D-Trump end zone and act like a fool. So get ready for more of it. I don't know how many more times we can have the discussion, because it's maddening, but it's a real issue. So it's not stopping the pandering of those who want to be president. The two men battling for D-Trump's job, okay, given that we think that D-Trump is not going to get the job again because he's going to be fighting over avoiding taxes and fraud. These two men, governor of Florida and governor of Texas, are not this dumb. They're not. You're going to hear this a lot about Greg Abbott as he continues to act dumb on Fox News. He's not. He's not. He wasn't this guy. But to get elected, he has to be this guy. No legal right to Facebook, no legal right to Twitter, Jeff Ward show, Joe Bob show, Snapchat show, fill in the blank show. You have a legal right to get together at the Capitol on the steps and say Trump rules or cut my taxes. That space you own. That space you own. This one you do not own. And if you want to own it and you want the government to own it, good luck to you. Question. I know we all seem confused about this now that it's trying to be law. This is really hard to understand. Have people been tricked? What is it about this argument that has seemingly worked so well? This guy that stood at that podium yesterday and said fascist things. Why does that seem to work so well?
Listen at jeffwardshow.com.